Hey everyone, my name's Tyler Adsett. Welcome to my backyard. Today we're going to be looking at what it takes to build a lumber rack to store lumber during the initial air drying phase after rough sawing on the wood mill. As some of you may know, I enjoy going and getting logs, milling them on the wood miser, and then stacking them to air dry, and then eventually using that wood to make high-end furniture and other handmade items. It's really important to get this initial drying phase done to get the wood down below a certain moisture percentage before it's put into the attic of my shop, which is what I use as my kiln. Today we're going to use a process that I learned from one of my buddies that's going to use an 8x8 stringer, and then we're just going to build a deck on top of those 8x8s. It's really important that you get a very precise and level and true deck to put the wood on so it dries in a very uniform manner. These trees that are over here, or this lumber, sorry, that's over here on the trailer behind us is the lumber that I've already milled from a few logs that I got from a buddy's house who was clearing some property to put in a new shop. This lumber is already milled up into some 8x8s that are 11 feet long, and then some 2x6s that are also 11 or 12 feet long. Typically, I really want a 12-foot long board, 12.5-foot long board, but at any rate, if a 12-foot piece of lumber is going to be dried, it's okay if it's going to hang over about 6 inches on both sides. So after milling the lumber, the first step is going to be to go ahead and start getting a level platform. As mentioned before, it's really important to have a level platform, and the way we're going to do that today is with a handy laser level. This one is just a cheap Harbor Freight version that I'm actually borrowing from a buddy. This really helps a lot to get things level over a platform that's wider than my 6-foot straight edge. All right, so all we've done here is just done a complete 180 from where we were standing previously to the actual area where we're gonna build the lumber rack. I've got the laser level that we previously talked about set up right next to the tripod of the camera, and then we're gonna take our tape measure that's set up so it's got inches on there, and we know we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and find our low point. All right, so that took about 30 minutes, and all we did there was get the 9 blocks all even. I didn't have to take the grass out from up under some of them. I'm not that concerned because those I set about 1/2 inch high, 1/4 inch high to account for the grass being smushed under the weight. So like I said, everything is level, and now it's time to go ahead and try to get these huge wet 8x8s on these. Wish me luck. So as we discussed before, the deck is 11 feet by 8 feet, and then the joists are on 16-inch center, and to the last one it's like 8 inches. And yeah, this will hold a lot of weight. I've seen stacks of hardwood 12 feet high, 1-inch thick boards with stickers, and there's no problems there. The only issue that I have seen happen is sometimes the cinder blocks will start to give way and they'll actually start to crack and crumble, but I did put more cinder blocks on this iteration than the last one. I had them closer together, so yeah, we should be good. So let's take a look at what I have been doing in the past, and let's talk about why this decision is so much better. You can see here in the background, these are my other 2 wood stacks I've got. They're actually getting shorter now because I have been planning on moving the wood stack through attrition over to the new one. But essentially here we'll have the same amount of stacking ability as we do in the new spot. So What the big difference here is I've actually got, I don't have 8x8s on here. I just have the cinder blocks running every 16 inches under this stack. And although that is a stronger structure from the base to the ground, because there's about 25 blocks up under there, there's a lot of digging and leveling involved with this process, as opposed to just the 9 blocks that I've got on the other stack, on the new stack. So this method, like I said, it does work, but it's very labor intensive when you're having to dig the level by hand. Even on a spot like this where I was only having to go down 1.5 inches from left to right and about 2 inches to the back, front to back, it really was labor intensive and back breaking, not necessarily back breaking, just labor intensive to have to dig all that up, whereas opposed to, it only took me about 20 minutes to dig the spots for the new ones. So a little bit ago I was talking about the need for air drying, and the reason you need to air dry, especially in your hardwoods, is to get them dried out enough to where they don't case harden. There's several videos talking about case hardening process and what that does to your wood if you put the wood in the kiln too soon. You'll see this oak here, this 1-inch oak, is down to 11%. It's more than ready to go into the kiln. You want to be below about 20% before you start putting anything into the kiln that is a hardwood, so it doesn't case harden. I have been known to take wood that's a softwood, like a pine, straight from the lumber yard to the attic. The only problem I've had doing that is the wood is extremely heavy. You may have seen me struggling with those 2x6s. That's because they are very wet, because I just milled those. So unlike the hardwood though, there's no case hardening issues with the pine. So you can put it straight up in the attic right now. Let's see what this lumber is at. Yeah, it's as you can hear it beeping, it's actually over the chart, which it stops reading at 35%. So it's got a lot of moisture in it right now, but it will dry really quickly in the open air, even though it's 1.5 inches thick. So at any rate, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I really appreciate you taking your time this evening to watch the video.